All right, here's your key point one expanded into an 800-word Matthew Hussey style segment that stays conversational, warm, and smoothly flowing. You know, when people talk about fantasy, we often picture these grand, exotic places, a penthouse suite in Paris, a rooftop in New York, or a hammock somewhere in the Maldives with the ocean as a soundtrack. And sure, those sound amazing, and they absolutely have their place. But here's the thing most people don't realize. For a lot of men, the fantasy of where to end the moment isn't always about some far-flung, cinematic backdrop. More often than you think, it's about the place he already knows like the back of his hand. His own home. Or maybe yours. Now, that might sound too simple at first, but think about why. Home is safe. It's private. It's familiar. He knows where everything is. Not just physically, but emotionally. There's no noise from the outside world competing for his attention. No waiter walking over with the check. No loud strangers nearby. No fear of being interrupted. At home, all of that melts away. And when a man's mind isn't scattered with 100 little distractions, he can be fully present with you. That's a big part of the fantasy, being able to just stop. To take all the energy of the evening, the flirting, the connection, the subtle touches, the looks you've exchanged, and let it land somewhere where nothing else matters. It's not just a location, it's a state of mind. Home lets him sink into that moment without the world barging in. But there's something deeper going on here too. When he's in his own space, or a space he shares with you, there's a sense of control and confidence. He's not worried about the logistics. How to get there? Whether the door will be locked, if the place will feel right. All those little unknowns are gone, and when those little stressors disappear, what shows up instead? Playfulness, spontaneity, the ability to focus entirely on ever you. For some men, it's also about the ritual of coming home together. Maybe it's walking through the front door after an amazing dinner and hearing the quiet click as it shuts behind you. Maybe it's the way you automatically kick your shoes off, or how he turns the lights down without saying a word. These tiny, familiar moments can be intensely attractive because they signal that you're in your own little world now. It's just the two of you, and the rest of life can wait. And I'll tell you what else makes the home fantasy so powerful. It's adaptable. It can be relaxed and romantic, with music playing softly and the glow of a few candles. Or it can be completely unplanned. The kind of night where you didn't intend for anything to happen, but you both ended up laughing on the couch until one glance made everything shift. That's the beauty of a space that belongs to you. It bends to fit the energy of the moment instead of forcing the moment to fit the space. Now, there's also something men might not say out loud, but I'll say it for them. When a man feels comfortable in his surroundings, he feels more confident in himself. And when he feels more confident, he's not holding back. He's not second, guessing how he comes across. He's not overthinking. He's in the moment, and you get full of him, not the distracted, guarded version. This doesn't mean that ending the moment at home is boring or predictable. Far from it. In fact, the predictability of the space is what allows the unpredictability of the moment to come alive. Think about it. The walls don't change, but the way you use the space can change every single time. One night it's a slow, lingering close. Another night it's spontaneous, electric. And because it's your space, you can take your time. You're not looking at your watch or thinking about catching the last train or whether the Uber driver is going to get there in time. Some of you might be thinking, but isn't the whole point of a fantasy to be different from everyday life? And yes, that's true sometimes. But here's the twist. When the person you're with is the fantasy, the place becomes the canvas. The home fantasy works because it strips away all the extras and leaves you with nothing but the connection. And that connection is what makes even the most ordinary four walls feel like the most extraordinary setting in the world. For men, that's often the real dream, not the flash, not the noise, not the Instagram-worthy view. Just you, him, a space where you both feel completely yourselves and no one else watching. The comfort and familiarity don't kill the magic, they amplify it, because in that space, the whole evening can land exactly the way he's been hoping it would from the first moment he saw you that night. And that's why, for many men, the most powerful, most alluring, most unforgettable place to end the moment is simply home. All right, here's key point 2 says he has expanded to about 800 words in that smooth, flowing conversational style you're after. Hey 2. If the first fantasy is about the comfort of home, the second is almost the opposite. It's about stepping into a completely different world, a place where nothing looks, smells, or feels like everyday life. For a lot of men, that means an exotic hotel, a hidden retreat, or somewhere that feels like it's been built just for the two of you to disappear into. There's something about a new environment that wakes up the senses. The unfamiliar textures, the smell of the room, the view outside the window, all of it sends a message to your brain. This is different. And when a man is somewhere different, especially with you, it's like the rules of his regular life loosen. The normal routines and responsibilities don't apply here. The mental to-do list switches off. The only thing on the list now is the moment you're both in. Think about the way a hotel room feels compared to a bedroom at home. It's not better because it's fancier, though sometimes that helps. It's better because it's neutral territory. It's a clean slate, free of the memories and associations that come with your usual space. At home, the laundry basket in the corner might remind you of chores. The desk might remind him of work. But in that getaway room, every corner is just for you, right now. And there's a psychological side to this too. When you go somewhere new together, you're not just changing the scenery, you're creating a shared adventure. That sense of, we're in this new place. Together, forges a bond in real time. You both feel like you're in your own little bubble, cut off from the rest of the world. And that bubble is fertile ground for intimacy because it's safe from interruptions. A lot of men will fantasize about the little rituals that come with a romantic getaway. Checking in together. Walking down the corridor to your room, hearing the click of the door as it shuts, and suddenly it's quiet, just the two of you. Maybe there's a bottle of wine waiting. Maybe there's a balcony with a view you can't stop looking at. In that moment, it's not just about the scenery. It's about the feeling that you've both escaped. And escapism is a huge part of this fantasy. Life is busy. Work, responsibilities, the constant hum of notifications. It's a lot. When a man pictures ending the night with you, somewhere far from all that noise, it's not just because the location is pretty. It's because in that space, his mind finally has room to breathe. He can give you his full attention without the background static of his everyday life pulling at him. Another layer of this fantasy is the way a special location elevates the energy of the entire day leading up to it. When you're in an unfamiliar place, every little thing you do together feels more exciting. A walk through the hotel lobby isn't just a walk, it's a preview of where the night is going. Dinner at the resort restaurant isn't just dinner, it's part of a story you're writing together. That story builds anticipation, and anticipation makes the final moment all the more intense. Men also love the sense of luxury a getaway can bring. And luxury doesn't always mean expensive. It's about the feeling of being taken care of. Maybe it's the soft robe waiting in the closet. Maybe it's breakfast arriving on a tray in the morning. Maybe it's just knowing someone else will make the bed and replace the towels. These small things strip away the distractions that usually pull at your attention, so the focus can stay on the two of you. There's also the thrill of novelty. In a new place, you don't have a routine. You're not going through the motions. You have to discover things as you go, where the light switch is, how the shower works, what the view looks like at night. And because you're discovering those things together, they become little shared secrets. Those shared secrets can make the connection feel even more exclusive. But maybe the most powerful part of this fantasy is the way it plays with time. When you're away together, even for a single night, time feels different. You're not watching the clock the same way you do at home. There's no commute to think about, no alarm to set for the next morning. You can let the evening unfold at its own pace. You can stretch a single conversation for hours or let a quiet moment linger without rushing it. In the end, the exotic hotel or hidden retreat fantasy isn't really about the building or the decor or even the location. It's about the emotional space it creates, a space where you both feel suspended outside of ordinary life, free to focus entirely on each other. A space where the rest of the world feels far away, and all that exists is the two of you and the energy you've built together. And that's why, for many men, the idea of ending the night somewhere completely different from everyday life, somewhere that feels like yours alone, is a fantasy that never gets old. Here's your key point 3 fantasies, expanded to about 800 words in the same natural, flowing, and intimate tone you've asked for. There's something about the outdoors that changes everything. The way the air feels, the way the light hits your skin, the way sound travels differently when you're surrounded by open space instead of walls. For a lot of men, the fantasy of ending the moment with you somewhere out in nature isn't just about the view. It's about the feeling that you've stepped into a world that belongs only to the two of you. Picture this: you're standing together at the edge of the water as the sun drops lower in the sky. The world is tinted gold. The air smells like salt and warm sand, and every sound is softer. Waves rolling in, distant laughter carried on the wind. There's a sense that time has slowed, like the planet itself is holding its breath for you. That's the magic of nature. It has a way of making you feel small in the best possible way, reminding you that right now, nothing else matters except the moment you're sharing. For some men, the beach at sunset is the ultimate setting. The colors shifting in the sky, the feeling of your feet sinking into the sand, the rhythm of the ocean in the background. It's hypnotic. It's as if nature itself is setting the pace for what comes next. There's no rush, no artificial lighting, no background noise from a city. Just you, him, and a horizon that feels endless. For others, it's the mountains. There's a special kind of intimacy in being somewhere high up, away from everything. The quiet is different up there. You can hear your own heartbeat. The faint rustle of leaves, maybe the sound of a stream somewhere nearby. There's a privacy in that quiet, the kind you can't buy or fake. It feels like you've traveled to a place where the rest of the world can't follow. Nature also has this way of stripping away pretenses. Out there, without the four walls of a restaurant or the dim lighting of a bar, it's just you and him, and whatever connection you've built. You're not leaning on props to make the moment romantic. The romance is already in the air, in the scenery, in the way you can look at each other without anything else pulling your focus. And that kind of raw, unfiltered presence is intoxicating. Men fantasize about moments like this because they're so rare. Life doesn't usually give us the chance to pause, step away, and stand still long enough to take in the beauty around us. But when it does, when you're on that cliff overlooking the ocean, or sitting under the stars with a blanket pulled tight around you, the memory of it sticks. It's not just a where we ended the night moment, it becomes one of those stories you both remember years later. There's also something undeniably powerful about how nature engages the senses. The smell of the air, the sound of the water, the way the breeze moves through your hair, it's sensory overload in the gentlest way. And when those senses are alive, emotions tend to follow. It makes you feel more connected, more awake, more ready to sink into whatever comes next. And then there's the subtle element of adventure. Being outdoors often means you had to make a little effort to get there. Maybe you walked down a hidden path, or climbed up to a lookout point, or wandered far enough away from the crowd to find a private spot. That shared effort adds to the bond. It's like you've earned this view, this moment together. And when you've worked to get somewhere, it feels that much sweeter when you finally stop and let yourselves just be. Some men imagine the outdoors as a backdrop for a kind of intimacy that feels both grounded and elevated at the same time. Grounded because you're literally connected to the earth beneath your feet. Elevated because you're doing something most people only talk about doing. It's private, but not confined, romantic but unforced, special without trying too hard. And maybe that's the real beauty of the nature fantasy. It doesn't have to be scripted. You can't control the sunset, or the way the wind shifts, or when the stars will show up. All you can do is be there in it, and let those little unpredictable details work their magic. And because you can't recreate it exactly, it feels unique to you both. One of a kind. For many men, that's the allure. Being in a place so breathtaking that the moment you end there feels almost inevitable. Like the entire day has been building to that point, and you're just following where the beauty leads. And that's why, for some, there's no better way to finish the night than under a sky that's bigger than both of you. Here's your key point 4s expanded into about 800 words, keeping the smooth, intimate, and conversational flow you've been using. Some moments feel unforgettable because of comfort, others because of beauty. And then there are the ones you remember because they had a spark of danger to them. The kind of thrill that makes your heart race just a little faster. For a lot of men, the fantasy of ending the night somewhere slightly risky or adventurous isn't about being reckless. It's about the rush that comes from knowing you're breaking away from the ordinary. It's that feeling when you're somewhere you probably shouldn't be lingering too long. Maybe a rooftop after hours, a quiet balcony in the middle of a busy city, a private corner at a party. You're close enough to the world that you could get caught, but far enough away that it feels like your own secret. That tension between safety and risk is intoxicating because it pulls you into the present moment with more intensity than almost anything else. When a man pictures a fantasy like this, it's not just about the physical place. It's about the energy it creates. That whisper of, "We shouldn't be here," makes every glance, every touch, every word feel amplified. It's like the air between you changes, it becomes charged. And because the stakes feel a little higher, you both tune in more deeply. You notice each other in sharper detail. The sound of your voice, the way you're looking at him, the closeness of your body. This kind of setting also awakens a playful side. You're not sitting politely at a dinner table or standing in a quiet hallway. You're in a place that makes you feel alive, like you're both bending the rules together. That shared sense of mischief can be incredibly bonding. It creates a story that's yours alone, a private chapter in your history that no one else even knows happened. For some, this might be about finding a secluded spot during a night out, slipping away from the crowd for just a few minutes. For others, it's about being somewhere completely unexpected, like pulling over during a late night drive just to stand together under a street lamp on an empty road. The unpredictability of it is part of the allure. You didn't plan it, it just happened because the moment was too strong to ignore. There's also an element of adrenaline here, and adrenaline has a funny way of making emotions more intense. When your heart rate is up, when you're slightly on edge in the best possible way, you remember things more vividly. That's why these moments stick. They're imprinted in your mind because your body was fully engaged, and so was your heart. It's worth saying, the fantasy isn't about recklessness or putting yourself in real danger. It's about flirting with the line between safe and exciting. That's the sweet spot. You want the feeling of risk without any actual harm, and you want to walk away from it laughing and knowing you shared something a little wild but still entirely yours. These moments often feel cinematic, even if no one's watching. Imagine being on a rooftop where you can see the whole city lit up beneath you, but you're both tucked away in a shadowed corner. You can hear life happening all around, but none of it touches you. Or maybe you're in an elevator that stops for just a few seconds longer than it should, and that pause feels like a stolen pocket of time. Those seconds become more than seconds. They become a memory. What makes this fantasy so compelling for men is the combination of intimacy and exclusivity. It's not just about being with you. It's about being with you in a way that no one else gets to see. It's about sharing a version of yourselves that only exists in that exact moment, in that exact place, when the rest of the world is just a few steps away, but doesn't know what's happening. The two of you feel like co-conspirators in something deliciously secret. And here's the thing. These moments don't have to be long to be powerful. Sometimes the thrill of it is in how quick it is, like lightning in the middle of a dark sky. It strikes, it lights everything up for a split second, and then it's gone. But you can still feel it long after. That flash of excitement, that surge of connection, stays with you. The beauty of a slightly risky or adventurous ending is that it often can't be recreated exactly. It's tied to the mood, the setting, the exact circumstances that brought you there. And because of that, it becomes a kind of treasured accident, the perfect collision of timing, chemistry, and setting. And that's why, for some men, the most unforgettable way to end the night is in a place that makes you feel like you've stolen a moment from the rest of the world and made it completely your own. Here's your key point, Five says, expanded into about 800 words with the same warm, conversational, and emotionally connected style. Q2. There are places that are beautiful, and there are places that mean something. And for a lot of men, the fantasy of ending the night somewhere meaningful, somewhere with history between the two of you, is more powerful than any rooftop bar or 5-star resort. It's not about the grandeur of the location, it's about the memories it holds. It could be the coffee shop where you first met, where he was nervous and trying to act like he wasn't. The little booth in the corner where you sat for hours, sipping something you barely tasted because you were so caught up in conversation. Going back there, even if it's just for a moment, can make all the walls drop. The same scent in the air, the same hum of background chatter, the same view from your seat. All of it instantly transports you to that first spark. Or maybe it's the park where you had your first real date. You remember the exact bench, the way the sun hit the grass, how you both laughed at something that probably wasn't even that funny, but felt like the best joke in the world at the time. Standing there again, you don't just see the park. You see yourselves, a version of you from before everything unfolded. It's a reminder of how far you've come, and in that reminder there's an intimacy that's hard to replicate. For some, it's even smaller details. A street corner where you shared your first kiss, a bookstore where you found yourselves squeezed into the same aisle, reaching for the same cover, a quiet side street where you once stood in the rain together without rushing to get out of it. These are the kinds of places that, on their own, might mean nothing to anyone else, but to the two of you, they're like keys to a locked room in your memory. When a man imagines ending the night somewhere like this, it's because those places strip away the noise. They're not just backdrops. They're living reminders of your connection. Standing in them makes the moment feel like part of a bigger story, not just something happening in isolation. There's a depth to it, a layering of past and present that makes the intimacy feel even stronger. And the thing about nostalgia is that it changes the way you experience each other. You're not just here as you are now. You're also here as you were then. All the nerves, all the excitement, all the feelings from that earlier time get pulled into the present. It's almost like you're meeting each other all over again, but with the added weight of everything you've shared since. For many men, that's deeply romantic. It's a reminder that your relationship isn't just a collection of isolated moments. It's a journey, and these places are the markers along the way. Going back to them can feel grounding. It says, we've built something. We've written chapters together. And here's where some of the best ones began. There's also a vulnerability to it. Returning to a place that holds meaning isn't just about the good memories. Sometimes it stirs up bittersweet ones too. And in a strange way, that can make the connection even richer. Because it's not about pretending everything's always been perfect. It's about acknowledging that what you have now was shaped by every moment you've shared, the smooth ones and the rough ones alike. These kinds of places also invite slowness. You don't rush through them. You linger. You notice the details you might have missed before. The creak of the same wooden chair, the way the light falls through the same window, the familiar sound of the bell on the door. And in that slowness, the evening feels like it's breathing differently, calmer, deeper, more present. Some men love this kind of ending because it feels intentional. You didn't just stumble into this place. You chose it. You remembered. And that act of remembering can be as romantic as any grand gesture. It says that your time together matters enough to revisit, to honor, to celebrate. It's not about trying to recreate the past perfectly. You can't. What makes it special is that you're not the same as you were when you first stood there. You've both grown, you've both changed, but this place has stayed the same, holding that earlier version of you like a snapshot. Being there again is like blending the old and the new into one moment that feels both familiar and brand new. And maybe that's why, for some men, there's no better way to end the night than in a place that reminds you both where your story began and just how far you've come since. Here's your F key point success, expanded into about 800 words with the same intimate, smooth, and natural delivery. Sometimes the most powerful endings are the ones you never saw coming. You didn't plan it. You didn't think ahead. You didn't even know where the night would take you. And that's exactly why it became unforgettable. For a lot of men, the fantasy of ending the night wherever the chemistry takes you isn't about a specific place at all. It's about that intoxicating mix of spontaneity and connection that makes everything feel electric. There's a certain magic in letting go of the plan. Maybe you were supposed to head home after dinner, but instead you found yourselves walking down a street you'd never been on before, following the sound of live music spilling out of a doorway. Maybe you stopped for just one drink and ended up talking until the chairs were being stacked on tables around you. Or maybe you simply got in the car with no real destination, letting instinct and each other decide where you'd end up. In moments like that, the location becomes secondary. It could be a park bench under a streetlight, the front seat of a car with the windows down, a quiet alley where you paused without even thinking. What matters isn't how the place looks. It's the fact that you both knew you didn't want the night to end just yet. That shared, unspoken decision to keep it going creates its own kind of intimacy. For men, this kind of ending holds a special appeal because it's completely in the hands of the moment. There's no script, no agenda, no pressure to make it perfect. And because of that, you can relax into it. You're not worrying about whether the lighting is right or whether anyone else is watching. You're just there, together, in a space you didn't expect to be in, letting the energy between you lead. Spontaneous endings often have a lightness to them. You're laughing more, teasing each other, saying things you might not have if you were in a more formal setting. The unpredictability strips away some of the usual filters and makes you both more open. That openness can turn a simple detour into something that feels far more meaningful than anything you could have planned. And the truth is, these moments can happen anywhere. Maybe it's sitting on a curb outside a diner at 2 a.m, sharing fries and stories. Maybe it's leaning against the hood of the car while the stars come out, not even talking much, just enjoying the quiet. Maybe it's finding yourselves in a place you've never been before, realizing you'll always remember it because of what it turned into. The beauty of this fantasy is that it's adaptable to whatever the night gives you. If you're both full of energy, it might lead you to a hidden late night spot you didn't know existed. If you're feeling quiet, it might mean ending somewhere peaceful, with only the sound of your voices breaking the silence. You're not forcing the night to match a pre-written scene. You're letting the scene write itself. And here's what makes it unforgettable, because you didn't plan it, you couldn't anticipate it. You couldn't prepare for it, and so you experienced it fully, without expectations or comparisons. That makes it feel more real, more alive, more present. For many men, that's the heart of the fantasy. A moment that belongs to you both, born out of nothing but the desire to stay in each other's company. There's also something deeply connecting about being willing to wander together without a destination. It says you trust each other enough to step off the map. You're not just physically going somewhere new. You're emotionally saying, I'm happy to follow where this goes. And that sense of mutual trust and willingness to explore is incredibly attractive. Even when the place itself isn't remarkable, the memory often is. You'll remember the way the night air felt on your skin, the way you looked at each other under a dim light, the little details you'd normally forget because they only mattered in that moment. These endings often become private treasures you carry long after. Stories that don't need to be shared because no one else would feel them the way you did. The best part is, you can't fake this. You can't schedule spontaneity. You can't manufacture the feeling of, let's see where this goes. It happens because the connection between you makes it natural to keep going. And when you look back, it's not the fancy setting you'll remember. It's the way it felt to just follow the night together, trusting that wherever you ended up, it was exactly where you were supposed to be. And that's why, for some men, the most irresistible way to end the night is anywhere at all, as long as it's with you.